So welcome to the start of the next vlog. This is going to be a little bit of work and also the build up to brands. Thanks to all the subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, if you could subscribe please, it'd be great. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, it just means you get a notification when our new videos come out. So this week I've got a fair bit to do. I've got a little bit to do on my snap-on van. I've got a lot of work to do, plus also finish the pickup ready for us leaving on Friday. So one of the jobs that I'm getting done today is the lead-free conversion on this MGB. So this has been in the acid. I've shot blasted all the ports out. I've now bored it out and fitted the lead-free seats. I've put the correct angle on them. All the valves have been set to the right depth, so they're all good to go. James Graves from Jay's Automotive, who comes racing with us, he's been and fit me a new switch on my seat cutter, so all that's back together and working correctly now, so thanks for that, Jay. It's brilliant, it works good. So next thing I'm going to do is cut the inlet seat. So that's an inlet valve. Inlet valves are always bigger, well not always, but virtually always bigger than the exhausts. So now I just need to put a new seat on it, mainly because it's all old and out of shape anyway, but also when I fitted the exhaust seat it distorts the inlet seat just here, so I just need to correct that. So I've put the right angle on, the right angled cutter in the mirror. I've set it to the right side, so the next thing for me to do is to cut the seat. So with the press of the button, the machine starts to self-center. It moves these servos in here to center in the guide. The machine also tells me when it's centered by bringing this light up. And the next thing to do is to just cut the seat. I'm just going to double check that the machine's centered all right, because that's cutting all off one side, which at the moment I haven't put any of the seat on it. It's just started putting the top and bottom angle on, not actual the valve seat, so it's worth me just checking it. So once again the machine is now self-centering. That's how far out the seat is. So let me grab this. If you can see, it's cutting along the back of the seat, but it's not touched this front part here. So yeah, the seat was quite far out, which is not uncommon on old cast iron cylinder heads. Here we go, next one. So there we go, that's cylinder 4 and cylinder 3 completely finished. So I'm going to do these two now, and then I'll make sure that the valve heights are all the same, give it a reface, leave it in the wash for a few hours while it gets all the crap off it, and then it's a case of painting it and building it ready for the customer. So that's the MGB all skimmed. I've been in the hot tank for about 3 hours. I've masked all the faces up so I don't get primer on it. It's all zinc primered, and now the top coat's going on, so it'll get 2 or 3 coats of the top coat, and I'll show you the end result. So that's the MG cylinder head, painted nicely in MG maroon, zinc primered first, and then 3 coats of MG Maroon over the top. So all I've got to do now is put some stem seals on it, build it, and then let the customer know it's all ready for him. So I'm on to my next job, which is grinding another crankshaft, this time off the 100E. So the crank grinder's been running for 25 minutes just to get all the bearings up to temperature, let the wheel sort itself out with balancing. I've dressed the wheel, which is done with this diamond here, and then just run across the wheel, because the last crank I did was that stationary engine one, and because it was quite a big heavy bit of material that I had to take off, it wore the wheel quite bad. So I've taken, I think I've taken 12 thou off the wheel, which doesn't sound like a lot, but normally it's nowhere near that. While I was letting the wheel machine warm up, the bearings and everything, I forgot that the suds were running, and I've soaked my floor. The camera's not really showing that, but I need to get the mop out quick because I don't want to stand in that. So I want to get this ground before I go home. So yeah, that's what I'm on. It's all ready to go now, so crank's in there nice and level. So I'll start with the big ends. Spot on. That's the crank ground. All I've got to do now is polish it. So this is the 100E Ford side valve engine crankshaft, which is now ground to 10th thou on the mains, 10th thou on the big ends. It looks really good, especially compared to what it did look like. So that's the MGB cylinder head, all finished. That's been converted to lead free, shot blasted, skimmed. All the valves have been reconditioned. All the gasket faces are good to go. I've even marked it so we know the date we did it in case it ever comes back. It's got upgraded stem seals on it. So that's done in the proper MG Maroon as well, which I really like. Looks good. Looks good when it's finished. So this is it. This is the pre-Brands Hatch, the last meeting vlog. It's Wednesday afternoon. The car is looking very sorry for itself. We realised that when the garage at home burnt down, that all the wheel bearing grease late last night when we come to do some work on it, we think that was in the cupboard, so that all got burnt. So today I've been over to Race Parts in Wallingford, dealt with a guy there called James, very helpful. Been and fetched some CV grease. I bought both bearing greases because I wasn't sure which one was going to be the best. So now I can get the car back together. We've put new shocks on the front of the car. because at the last meeting the car was fine in all fairness, but when I come to do a check over on the truck, we've got some movement in the shocks where I'm pretty sure the shocks just need reconditioning. So we've taken my ones off, which are there, and put a brand new set of shocks on, which I had on the grey car. So we've put them on for this meeting. The clutch problem that we thought in the last meeting the clutch was slipping. Turns out it wasn't the clutch slipping because the clutch is worn out, it's the bearing. The release bearing, which is this thing here, fell apart and just put a bit of pressure on the clutch, which was making it slip. So we've put a new heavy duty release bearing on the car from Burton Power, and we've fitted a new twin plate clutch instead of the single plate clutch from TTV, that's just a company that I use for most of the race clutches that we use. So we've got that in for the last meeting. So basically what we've got to do now is get the clutch to work, because we've got an issue with the clutch slave cylinder, which I'll show you what that is. So that thing there is the clutch slave cylinder. So it uses hydraulics, and that just pushes in and out, which moves the lever on the clutch to engage and disengage the clutch. So that now, I've got to make this arm longer. This is the old clutch, which I thought was worn out, which isn't worn out. But I'm going to send that off to Competition Supplies in Silverstone, who supplied this clutch originally, and get them to upgrade the springs in it and just replace this plate, and then I'll keep that as a spare, because that was a good clutch, and it's lighter weight off the end of the engine. And we're going to have to then just put all the wheel bearings back on, so this is just going to need wiping over to make sure there's no dust on it at all, clean everything out. The wheel bearings, I believe Sam's put up here, so they're going to need just washing to make sure there's no dirt on them, and then they can go back in. There's the new seals, which actually look a little bit damaged. No time to replace them. I can see the size of that seal there, so I'm going to go and have a look in my drawer of bits and bobs to see if I've got a new seal for that. These are the discs. I had some brake judder at Pembury, so we've stuck these on my brake disc skimming machine, so they're all good to go now. So that's it on the truck, and then it needs to go on the scales and have the setup and set down done on it, or set up. Get all the corner weights right, make sure everything's working correctly, and then it will get loaded into the back of the coach, ready for us leaving Friday, which I'm really excited for. This is going to be the last meeting, so I really can't wait. The job that I'm doing today, or one of the jobs that I'm going to do today, is the E-Type Jag. This is a supercharged E-Type Jag. The engine's out of a later Jag. I'm doing this job for a company that's built the car. The car's lovely. They've made a cracking job of that. But it ran and then stopped, so they've asked if I'll have a look over that for them. So while Sam's doing the pickup, I'm going to have a look at that. I've just had another job come through the door while I've been, as I got back from Wallingford, I had a gentleman drop a Rover V8 engine off, which I've got to do a few jobs to, but that will probably be next week, so I'll show you that next week. So I'm going to go back in my workshop for a couple of hours and do some other work while I wait for Sam to get home. I'm going to ring Sam up and just tell him to bring some diesel back for the heater. We've got the little heater in here, and it's going to be cold in here tonight, so I'll get Sam to come back with that.
The unit off.
That's the tightest man in the world.
Oh. Yeah, well,
see that bloke there? Only buy coffees when there's two. Yeah. That's the second tightest.
I buy them every week.
That's the third tightest.
He never do one.
I can come up to this one and park on top of the road.
Yeah. There's 4 day. There's 4 day a week.
Me on the leg.
Fuck you!
I get you for you. So it's Thursday today. I've done a load of work. I've had to pop out this morning to do some snap-on bits and bobs, and we've bought some 4-wheel camera tracking system for the race cars, just to try and help the setup a bit better. I'm also doing some work, but at the same time I need to just make some bits for the pickup truck, and one of the things is this bit of stud here. This goes into the clutch master cylinder, and this is what pulls the arm for the clutch, and it's too short now because we put a thicker clutch on it and a bigger release bearing. So last night before I left to go home, I made this one, which if I put it next to the original one, you'll see the length. Oops. So it's about 1 inch longer, but still that's too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to upgrade it with an M10 stud. I'm going to cut the head off, or machine the head off, and then machine it down and put a 5/16 UNF thread this end and leave it M10 that end, and it just means it's a bit stronger as well. And I'm also going to make a spare just in case we run into problems at the circuit. We've got a spare with us. So I'm going to do most of this in the lathe. So I'll set it up on time lapse and show you this being made. Spare master cylinder arms made. Oh, phone, better grab that in case my old wifey wants me. And we've also had to make these nuts, which, well, we didn't make the nuts, we just rounded the edges off. So what that does is that allows it to rotate in the clutch arm. If we left square edges on them, it would probably jam the clutch arm. So I'm hoping this is going to work. The only thing that makes me doubt it a little bit is the fact that we've gone from a 5/16 UNF, which is roughly 8mm, to 10mm. So James has sorted out the misfire. We think that's from when Sam's jet washed it, because There was water down #1 spark plug hole, so he's got the water out. We've changed the spark plug and the misfire's gone. He's fitted the arm that I've made, so that's all in there and working. So what we're going to do now is put the car down on its wheels and check to see if we've got a clutch. And then I've just found a major part of the exhaust which needs to go back on, so that's going to be another job to do. While we're doing that, I'm doing the E-type, just trying to get that running so I can get the customer to come and collect this and get this out of the way. So we're both flat out at the moment, which is good. I'm obviously working harder than he is. Nick's saying he's lazy, but... So it's Friday, the day we should be leaving to go to racing, Brands Hatch, well, which we are doing, but we're going to be late. We've got the coach at the moment. I've got the dehumidifier running in the coach, trying to dry it out from where we haven't got any insulation in. I've started loading my stuff in to take. Oh, the heater's on. Well, the heater was on.
What time are you leaving?
I don't know, about 6.
Oh.
Why?
I think they're shut by then.
Yeah.
What?
I was going to go round and get the coffees while I'm waiting for you to go, so I'll go and get them.
Ah! You need to go and get them now.
No, we're on, James. We're on.
He is, isn't he, Mickey? Who's got that black Transit? He's kicking off.
What black one? Yeah, ain't ours. The old one there.
No, at the top, the new one. Blowing he was. I'll tell you something though, Michael.
Go on, mate.
I'm having a job to talk on that dry. Dry.
You don't want to go round and give you the car out yourself.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Are we going?
Wait for dinner time.
Oh, you're so... They're on now, we've already been round there. So the pickup's being set up at the moment. Sam and Graves are on it.
What size wheels are they? 15?
22s. So this is a string kit that goes around the car to allow us to set the tracking. And then yesterday I bought this camera tracking system as well. So we're going to try both. The laser thing there is to show that the corner weight scales are all at the right height. That there is apparently how much I weigh. I don't believe it, I don't think it's true. I think they're on a wind up. These ain't switched on, Graves. Alright mate, chill out.
Preparation yet?
Alright. So and this is the stuff that we're doing to get the setup right. What? Hold on, what's going on here?
This is what the measurements are, mate, on the axle. From the front to the rear, across the axle. 15 mil longer.
What side? My side. The reason such a big suspension change is because we've put 4 new shock absorbers on the car. So all the height is completely different now, so it's all being set back up for that. We're just going to prank Mickey. So we've got some firecrackers. Mickey's using the bee blaster. You alright, man?
I knew that was coming, that's why I shut the fucking door.
We're just all ready to go racing. Tim's just using the old head skimmer. Got another one on that side, I'll probably do it with you in a sec. The car's all set up, ready to go. It's in the back of the coach now. I've got to go and get some fuel. I'm also going to go and see my wife for a bit. And then that's it, it's all set, ready to go. Brilliant.